Wow, you're really gonna do us like that, Higurashi? Really? Really? Those of us who are completely in the dark just got cliffhangered right to hell, and I'm certain that a lot of people who have seen the original are also probably like, I can't believe you cut right there! God, that ending. Anyway, hello everybody. Welcome back to our weekly Higurashi When They Cry GO discussion video. Today we're here to talk all about episode 6. But before we get into the video proper, quick reminder if you haven't done so yet to hit that subscribe button, ring that bell, set notifications to all, and I should also note that we are currently running a giveaway. If you scroll down and check out the pinned comment beneath the video, it will lead you to my Twitter that will explain the rules of the giveaway. You can potentially win a $100 gift card to WriteStuffAnime.com. So thanks so much to Write Stuff for helping us celebrate the hype up for possibly hitting our goal of 25k before the end of the year. Fingers crossed. But without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into this week's episode. Okay, so where do I even begin? It's an excellent question. Don't super know the answer. I suppose we can start right at the beginning with Oishi. We see the return of everybody's favorite nice guy cop. I don't super know what Oishi's deal is. The Oishi that we know is he's a bit he's a bit gruff, but for the most part he does mean well. The Oishi that we saw in the first loop, I don't want to call it a loop because it's so different. In the first world line, we'll say, in the first world line, it was the Oishi that we got was a bit more rough and tumble in terms of his personality. Physically, he's exactly the same. All the characters look the same between world lines. It's just the personality for Oishi kind of surprised me. He's a lot more jokey than I remember him being. I guess in fairness, I was is this an act? Is he putting on an act? And I do feel that probably is what is happening. Oishi is definitely putting on a sort of performance when he's around a very specific character, and that character also seems to be putting on a performance when she is around Oishi, that character in particular being Shion. Just the manner in which these two react to each other is different, right? The glare she gives him at one point, and the sort of chummy nature that he has with Shion, this sort of jovial, sort of jokey nature, this weird new personality. It just feels different. And don't get me wrong, Oishi was the type of character who would take Keiichi to Angel Mort. You know what I mean? He would take him out for something a bite to eat, but also to look at the cute waitresses. Honestly, kind of surprised we didn't bump into Shion back then, now that I think about it. But it was interesting, and I thought it was really worth noting. I feel safe when either Oishi or Tomitake is around, and Tomitake is top tier husbando material, and I don't know much about Mio, but I will say she is seemingly decent waifu material. Yeah, but I think just the fact that these characters are sort of being reintroduced does make me feel a bit better. But as I said when we talked about how Oishi entering the story sort of signifies the beginning of the end for Keiichi in the first world line, seeing him here again was oh boy. Right? Because again, we've talked about the color design. That red sort of signifying, not that he means to inflict harm, but that harm comes with Oishi. Once Oishi enters the story, it's about to go down. That's just the vibe that I got that's definitely what we see in the first world line, and it's the vibe that I got from him when I first watched the show, before I was really into color symbolism and theory and all that fun stuff. And seeing it now, it's yeah. Him appearing definitely does feel as though it is the beginning of the dark side of this particular arc for Keiichi. And yeah, I also think it's interesting to note too that you really immediately get the vibe that Oishi and Shion don't like each other, and then you get Shion explaining why they wouldn't. You get that scene at the cafe. Well, I guess it's not a cafe, it's more of a restaurant, but still, you get the scene of Shion explaining why Hinamizawa, why the people sort of rallied behind her And she explains that, like, they really formed a kinship after the whole dam incident. And we know about the dam incident, right? Like, we know about what's going on. But obviously, Keiichi is kind of... He's aware of it, but he's, like, mostly hearing about it for, like, the first time. Like he's hearing, like, the explanation of what happened, as opposed to, like, hearing it from Oishi. He hears it now from Shion, and Shion explains that even she kind of got roughed up, and it sort of made Hinamizawa, like, not only rally together, but sort of distrust the outside world, including the cops from another town. So you kind of get why they have this weird sort of, like, haha, all good, but as soon as they turn their back, they try to stab him in the back. You know what I mean? Like, they just have this sort of friendly on the outside, but sort of antagonistic on the inside type of dynamic, and her and Oishi, and I think it's absolutely worth bringing up. Should also bring up that, Mion and Shion confirmed 2 separate individuals. Now, this is the part where I have to yell at some of you. Okay, so last week, at the end of the video, I said, hey, this is just a theory. An anime theory. Specifically, an anime-only theory about Mion and Shion, because I really don't know anything that's about to happen. It's kind of refreshing that I don't know now. In fact, I would have preferred, and I know, and I have a good friend who's gonna hate me for saying this, Arc, I'm sorry, dude, but, like, I would have actually preferred to have known nothing about the original Higurashi before going into the last arc. I actually think I would have enjoyed it more if I didn't know, which I know some people are gonna be like, what? But, like, legit. A part of me is like, I wish I never saw the first arc, so I could have experienced it for the first time here. So, that said, these videos are definitely a place for anime onlys. If you've, anime only of this particular anime. So if you've seen the original, or you've read the visual novel, here's the thing. You are totally welcome here. You are allowed to enjoy these videos. You're allowed to laugh in visual novel reader, or laugh in OG anime. You are more than okay with that. In fact, I encourage that. I encourage the, like, laughs in original. Like, that makes me laugh when I see the, like, laughs in manga reader, right? Like, that kind of thing makes me laugh. But outright, like, telling me that this was gonna happen was stupid, because, like, I specifically have stated in all these videos that at this point, at the second arc, I am anime only. Like, I do not know what the hell's gonna happen. I have no idea. Totally fresh face. And at the end of the video, I said, don't tell me what happens. Don't tell me if they're 2 separate people. I want to find out by myself. And immediately, and, like, I deleted the comments for anybody who was like me. Like, I try to be on top of deleting comments. That does mean that I usually get spoiled on stuff. I need mods, man. Like, I need mods for every individual show, though. Like, it'd be such a hassle. But anyway, I had to start deleting comments because people are like, they're 2 different people. And I'm like, how did you get to the end of the video to hear me talk about the fact that they might be one person with a split personality? How did you get to the end of the video and not hear the part where I said, hey, anime only, don't spoil stuff? So, yeah, some of y'all, wow. But the rest of you, pretty good. Like, most Higurashi fans, honestly, for the most part, have been very much like, oh, that's interesting, JoJo, very interesting. But you're wrong. But it's interesting, you know what I mean? Like, most people have been like, that's very interesting. I have to admit, I kind of like my idea better, but of course I would. It's my idea. That said, I love Shion. Like, I was nervous that I wouldn't, but, like, oh my god, she's awesome. I really, really like the way that they're portraying this character, where she's sort of, like, overbearing, like, you know what I mean? Like, she's sort of, like, she seems very sweet and innocent on the surface, but once you actually get to know her, she's, like, really sort of bubbly and cute. And, like, I think, like, they're trying to establish that, like, sometimes when, like, cute shit was happening, like, the food thing, like, her bringing food over, I believe that was supposed to be Mion and not Shion. I thought it was Shion, unless I'm wrong. Like, even then, like, at this point now, it almost... I know I said earlier that, like, I would have preferred my idea. I almost kind of don't at the same time, because I feel like they can do a mind whammy on us where it's like, is that Mion or is that Shion? Like, at any point, it's like, is that Mion or Shion? Now I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, at any point in any of the scenes, if the character leaves and comes back, they could have just just appeared in like their clothes and shown up and been like, hey, it's me, right? Like obviously we know right now, like because we're still at the festival, which outfit Mion and Shion are wearing, because they're very different. So at this point we definitely know who's who. But I'm saying like the next day, they could pull a switcheroo on you. They could screw your brain. And I have a feeling like just because they've already established how similar they look and that Keiichi does get confused, and by Keiichi getting confused, that's also like the audience getting confused since Keiichi is our point of view. Yeah, that to me, I'm like, that's definitely going to happen. But I love Shion. She's so fun. I don't, and listen, y'all know me. I'm a shipper, right? I'm shipping trash. And on top of that, I got me my husbandos and my waifus. But for the main topic of discussion here, I am a shippy dude. I like shipping characters. It makes me happy. I like canon ships, but more so I like my fanon ships as well. I like my crack ships, all the fun stuff. Here's the thing. I don't ship Shion and Keiichi. It's not my Higurashi ship right now. My Higurashi ship right now is actually like my OTP, like for Keiichi, like specifically Keiichi, because if I had to pick like a ship that I like the most, it'd actually probably be Tomitake and Mio, even though we just met Mio. But if I had to pick like a ship for Keiichi, I would actually pick Mion instead of Shion. And definitely not Reina, because I know some people are gonna be like, what about Reina? She's crazy, so no. I don't want Keiichi to die. That's the thing. I like Keiichi a lot. I'm pounding my chest because I like Keiichi so much. I don't want Keiichi to die. He's a sweet boy, he's naive, but I like him. So I don't want him to die. So I want him to be in a relationship where he doesn't die. And so far, Mion seems the least crazy. Shion feels like she could go either way. Like, Shion really feels like I don't know which way she's gonna go. Now, last thing that I absolutely have to talk with you guys about. Oyashiro's curse. Okay. So, I like that, how do I put this? This scene where, I'll put up the scene in particular that I'm talking about in the video, because I know people are like, oh, you don't put screenshots up anymore. Yes, I do. You're clearly not watching the video. I put them up where necessary, so here's the screenshot that I'm talking about. This scene is so well directed. It is so well directed, as far as I'm concerned. Kawaguchi-sensei completely nails direction in this moment. I was shocked how well they got across this like really spooky vibe. You know what I mean? Like, it feels like when your friends tell you about like a place that you thought you knew, and then they tell you a story that you never knew, like even if it's made up, and it's still sort of like, a part of you is like, that's ridiculous. But then another part of you thinks like, but what if? And listen, Keiichiro Kawaguchi has not directed things that I have enjoyed. So like, it's not even like I'm just heaping praise on Kawaguchi for the sake of heaping praise on him. I am calling this man Kawaguchi-sensei because he's clearly a master of the craft. Like, this moment, I was like, holy shit. Like, from the way that the music just cuts, the instant Mio mentions, like, oh, I wonder who's gonna fall to Oyashiro's curse this year, or something like that. Like, I can't remember what it was, but she just says it, and you're like, oh shit. And you as the viewer go, oh shit. And then it just, silence. And it's like, oh. And then, like, the atmosphere of this, like nice autumn type of vibe just cuts, and all of a sudden the warm colors feel like almost overbearing, and like as if like the world itself is trying to warn Keiichi, right? Like suddenly those warm colors feel like signal lights of like, you don't want to go down this road, Keiichi. Don't do it. Take Mion's hand and go. And I love that scene of like Mion like trying to take him away, but he lets go, like, or she lets go and gives him the chance, like, you can take my hand right now, or you can stay, right? Like, she doesn't say it, but she leaves the hand there and says, like, come with me. And Keiichi's like, yeah, I get it, okay? Like, he says, like, yeah, I know, you'll eat the food, whatever, like, I get it. And she's like, okay, like, and just runs off, and you're like, oh shit, okay, Keiichi sealed his fate, like, that, okay. And, like, the way the trees move in the background of this scene, oh my god. Can I just gush? Because, like, the color design, the way the trees move, it's so unnatural. Like, it feels like like, it's sort of like as if a painting was moving. Like, I can't even really explain it. Like, you know how trees usually animate in like most other shows, like where they sort of like there's a bit more like sway to it. This felt like instead of swaying, it's like the trees were smearing. And at first I was like, oh, that looks weird. But then I'm like, it's supposed to look weird. You know what I mean? I'm like, it's supposed to. And that's when I was like, oh my God, this scene is brilliant. Like, either this scene was like accidentally brilliant or was purposefully brilliant. And I'm leaning towards the latter, just because the amount of choices that had to fall into place to make this scene hit as hard as it hits is phenomenal. And it just like, it leads up to this new trio of like new characters in this particular arc where like Tomitake's not new, Mio's not new. But like, this is the most screen time we've gotten from them in a hot minute. And if I'm remembering correctly, when they're talking about the curse and they tell Keiichi like, yeah, like once a year on the festival, somebody dies and somebody goes missing. And if I'm remembering correctly, they go missing. Like, if I'm remembering correctly, Mio and Tomitake go missing. I assume one of them will probably be found later. I don't remember. Forgive me, guys. I do apologize. I don't remember if one of them is dead or what happened, but I do remember both of them go missing for sure. So, if they got demoned away in the previous timeline, world line, whatever, does that mean the same thing's gonna happen here? I don't know. Like, I really don't know. And the scene of them like finding Shion and Keiichi and Tomitake's like, dang, Keiichi, you're smoother than I thought. It's like, bruh, like, it's not like that. I mean, Shion probably hopes it's like that. And again, Shion be giving me some weird vibes. Because when they're trying to break into that shed in the most heinous cliffhanger. Listen, I love cliffhangers, mostly because it's like, oh, because like you feel that like, how could you? But at the same time, like, ooh, it hurts so good. And that's how I felt about this, because like the way they're talking about like breaking in and there's something in there that they really want to see. And the way Mion's been like weirdly sort of possessive over Keiichi. Maybe sort of jealous that Mion gets to hang out with Keiichi, you know, like maybe Shion's like a bit like possessive. Maybe Shion isn't used to Mion having things that she can't have. You know what I mean? Like, that's the vibe that I get. Otherwise, why is she clinging to Keiichi so much? Other than the fact that Keiichi's a good boy, but still. And then it leads up to her like basically saying like, you're not afraid of the curse, are you? And like the fact that like, they think that it's not a curse. And like, so they all think like it's not a curse. It's somebody here in Hinamizawa doing this. Like, that's what we're trying to figure out. The fact that it's clearly not a curse, that's ridiculous. It's got to be somebody in the village. And Shion saying like, yeah, you should go in there. Like, since because of the family I come from, because of what I know, I kind of have a good idea of what's in the shed, and I would love for you to see it. Right? It's like, uh-oh. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's a little weird, but like just the lead up of like, they think it's not real, but we know that it is. Like, we know that it's totally real. Or is it real? I don't know. But, this freaking show is so good. But with that said, everybody, that is going to wrap up today's video here. So I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, don't forget to boop that up snoot, share if you care, leave a comment down below, and of course, hit that subscribe button, ring that bell, set notifications to all, let all of AnyTube know that you're here. And of course, don't forget to check out the pinned comment and follow the link to find out how you could win yourself a $100 gift card to Right Stuff. Once again, big thank you to Right Stuff for helping us celebrate the potential goal of 25K. And of course, before we go, as always, I have to give a big thank you to the good folks in the T Squadron. Look at these beautiful people. Look at all these beautiful names, and hey, if you would like to join these beautiful people, there are now 2 ways to do so. The first is by checking out that Patreon link in the description, and the second is by hitting that join button right beside the sub button to get a badge next to your name, some emotes to spam in the comments, and of course your name scrolling past the screen here. So if that sounds cool to you, go ahead and hit that join button or check out the Patreon link. Either way, it is super appreciated. So once again, a big thank you to the T Squadron. I am feeling incredibly anxious after that cliffhanger. It's gonna be a long week, and you know, until the next one, you stay classy, AnyTube, wash your dang hands, and don't go into that shed.